All right, in this video, I'm going to explain what a Roth IRA is, why it's pretty much a superpower if you're trying to build wealth, especially if you're in your 20s. And I'm going to give some real world examples of what kind of wealth you can expect. First of all, a Roth IRA is an investment account for retirement. And the big benefit here is all the money you put in, you pay taxes before you put it in. But when you get to that retirement age, all your money you made on it comes out tax free, which is huge. This is one of the best retirement accounts available, especially if you're young. The big benefit here is that all your capital gains is going to come out tax free. And if you're young, you have so much time to start building wealth. That compound interest is really crazy over the years. This is something I wish I would have done if I was a little bit younger when I started investing. But if you're like 18, 19, it's your ideal time. This is your superpower to build wealth. I just want to give a brief real world example of what you could look at. If you're starting with $1,000 and you're, let's say, 20 and you wait 45 years, so when you're 65, that $1,000 could end up at $89,000. So you're turning 1,000 into 89,000. You're getting almost 90 times what you put in, and that's at a 10.5% return of 45 years, over 45 years, starting with $1,000, and that's with no additional contributions. Now, let's say you had another $2,000 you could put in a year. You start with 1,000, you put 2,000 a year, and you got 45 years to invest. So if you're 20 and you're going to wait till you're 65, and you got that 10.5% return, which is pretty average if you're just investing into the S&P 500. What you'd be looking at would be at 1.9 million, 1.95 million. You're almost getting $2 million from putting $2,000 a year and starting with 1,000. So if you're like 20, 21, it's really a good time to start now. I'm going to take off 10 years. So let's say you're closer to 30 now, and you're going to see how much that compound interest goes down when you shave 10 years off. So we're at 1.95 million with starting with $1,000 and investing $2,000 a year. But if we drop another 10 years and let's say it's a 35-year investment, that drops you to $700,000. So you can see the big superpower of the Roth IRA is getting started when you're young. If you can get started when you're like right around 20, even right out of high school, like at 18, this is like a superpower to build your wealth. And that 10.5% rate of return might seem like pretty high, but if you just were to buy some S&P 500 ETF, it's really not that crazy to expect 10.5% return on average over like a 20-year landscape. Now, with the Roth IRA, one of the benefits of it is it's so advantage to the individual that they actually put a cap on it. The U.S. government puts a cap on how much money you can put a year. So right now in 2026, the cap is $7,500. That's the most money you could put every year in this. And the reason they do that is because it's such a tax advantaged account. So let's say you were around 20, you're going to start with $1,000 in your Roth, and you were going to put $7,500 a year annually. Over 45 years at that 10.5%, just keeping everything else the same, you'd end up with $7 million. You'd have a total contribution of $337,000. So that's what you put in over all of those 45 years, $337,000, and you're ending up with $7 million. You're getting over $6 million, $6.7 million in interest. So this is really the magic of compound interest over time. And the reason why the Roth is the superpower is because all that interest you're not paying tax on. It's coming out capital gains tax free because it's sitting there in your Roth. This is something I really wish I knew when I was younger, but no one ever explained a Roth IRA to me. And it's pretty much the superpower for the average Joe to build wealth, especially if you're in your 20s. Even if you're closer to 30 or even up in 40, it's still a really good retirement account. Now, one of the other benefits of the Roth is it's got that $7,500 annual limit you can put in, but it actually doesn't end until the tax day of the following year. So let's say you don't have $7,500 you could put in. Well, you could actually wait until April of 2027. Like right now it's 26. If you waited till April of 2027, you could still be putting that money in. So the Roth is just a really incredible way to start building wealth. And what I would do would just be just dollar cost averaging a portion of my paycheck every week, every 2 weeks, whenever you get paid, until you hit that max contribution. You really want to take advantage of that. The additional contribution does change every couple of years. Now in 2025, it was only $7,000, so they gave you another $500. And there are some weird rules with the Roth, like you don't want to pull your money out early. There's a penalty for that. So you definitely would like to have an emergency fund before you start building up your Roth. Some of the other interesting things, I think it's when you're over 50, you can actually add more money. So depending on what age you're at, you can actually have an additional contribution. They give you some catch-up years there. And then I think it's 59 and a half is when you can start pulling money out of your Roth. But on average right now, they say the retirement age is 65. So if you were 20 years old, let's start with absolutely zero. So we'll say we have zero money in the Roth, and you were to invest $7,500 a year, and we'll keep that rate of return the same at 10.5. You're just shy of $7 million. You're at $6.976 million. You'd be contributing $337,000 over those 45 years with over $6.6 million in interest, which is absolutely crazy. And then getting started with the Roth is super easy. You don't have to actually do it through an employer. It's an individual account, so you can just do it on your own. Nowadays, investing has gotten really easy. There's all the apps out there. There's like Webull, Robinhood, Fidelity. You can download one of those apps, put all your information in, and then open up a Roth. And you can have a Roth IRA opened up in like 5 minutes. It's pretty crazy. I'll put a couple links to some of the brokerage accounts you can try down in the description below. But the Roth is really, especially if you're young, it's like a superpower for building wealth. You can see over $6 million in interest. And then the big benefit of the Roth over like a regular brokerage account or 401k is all your money that you've made gains on is not getting taxed. There is some restrictions. If you wait too long with your Roth, they do require you to pull out certain percentages. But if you're sitting in retirement and you got over $6 million, I mean, you're going to be living pretty comfortably at that point. This is starting with $0 for 45 years. So let's say you're 20 years old. You want to retire when you're 65. At that annual rate of return of 10.5%, and if you were maxing out your Roth every year, which is $7,500 right now, that contribution will probably go up in the next couple years. It usually goes up every couple years or so. But you'd be sitting on $6.9 million with $7,500 invested a year. And I know $7,500 for some of you, that sounds like a lot. But if you think about it, you're saving for your retirement. You're going to be giving yourself the ability to not have to work until your late 70s, early 70s. And you're going to be living a comfortable life later. $7,500 a year is, you can figure out a way to do it. I'm not going to say stop buying coffee, stop going out to eat, but it's like figure out a way to make your income go up. Figure out a way to maybe cancel some subscriptions. I feel like nowadays people with subscriptions don't realize how much they're spending. They have a streaming service for everything. But the Roth IRA, to keep it short and sweet, is your superpower to building wealth, especially if you're younger. If you're in your 20s and you're watching this and you don't have a Roth IRA, I'm telling you, this is something to look into. And if you do have a Roth IRA, I'm kind of interested in when you started and what your numbers are looking at right now. I've been doing my Roth for like almost 3 years now, and it's awesome how much money is saved up. Having the goal every year to maximize my contribution really gives you something to aim for too. And after you max out your Roth, there's no saying you can't go invest your money elsewhere. You can't go build up your 401k or a regular brokerage account. But the Roth IRA, having that huge benefit of all your capital gains coming out tax-free is huge. And it's the idea of it behind it, about making more sense than like a 401k, is like if you're making money now and you think you'll make more money in the future, like let's say you're in your 20s and by the time you're 50 you think you'll be making more money, then the Roth is probably a better retirement account than the 401k. But you can do both. I would just look into maxing out that Roth, hitting that $7,500 a year for the year of 2026. But that's pretty much it. If you made it this far, thank you for watching.